I think it's fair to say that shame is, and has been for most of my life, has been an addiction for me. I'm not really sure why. I think that some people are just, that's their constitutional makeup. It's like old friends too. Sometimes those mistakes are the only thing that's connecting you to your past, and if I let go of those things, then who am I? Downtown Utrecht in Holland. We're in the Netherlands right now. Yeah, we played a festival yesterday. It was a lot of fun. A lot of really good bands. Got up early this morning, and we're going to Amsterdam today, so we're all pretty excited. The one striking difference, and somebody told me this before the first show that I ever played in Europe, they said, it was a journalist, and they asked me, they said, are you scared? Are you worried that for a lot of the people that you're playing for, they're not really listening to your words? And that scared me shitless, because that's all I have. I was like, well, I'm a lyricist. I think the music's interesting, but it's not my, I'm not the Beach Boys.
And I miss you like you're dead, but I never got to grieve you.
The thing that I've learned over the last year, getting to play shows in Europe several times, is that the lyrics, while they're important, and they are important, even in a different language, it's the emotions that you're communicating through the music. That's the part that people understand. Even back home in the States, if somebody's connecting with it, I don't think it's necessarily just the words, they're part of it, but it's the emotion that you're communicating.
Your ghost will have to leave, like a child would his mother, or a lover who has to say.
I feel just as welcomed and just at home now here in Europe as I do back in the States, if I'm honest. And I've been accepted here just as much as back home. In a way it's strange, but in a way it's really comforting, because no matter where I am, I feel like it's okay. I can feel a sense of peace and balance. I had a very hard decision a few years ago when I was finally working as a therapist. I'd finished all my degrees, and I did spend a lot of time and money doing it. But I sort of hit a fork in the road where a lot of things with music were starting to happen just out of the blue, really. And the therapy I was just really starting to get going with that too. And I thought long and hard, and I realized that the therapy profession would always be there. Music might not. So the most responsible thing for me to do would be to see what would happen with music, see if it was the right thing for me to do. And I think it has been. I'm glad that I did it. But, I only want to do this as long as I feel like I should. If I don't have anything else to say, I don't want to write anymore. I'll go back and I'll be a therapist, because I loved that too. That was a dream of mine as well. So I'm happy with both, but I miss the one that I'm not doing whenever I'm not doing it.
I've waited for so long just to see you mess around. What you've done, you've done. I want back the years that you took when I was young. I was young, but it's done.
know, the funny thing is, I've spent most of my life not really in a healthy place. One of the most common questions I'm asked is, what was it like growing up with blind parents? But really, the biggest thing that happened in my whole life, the thing that I look at as being like the most definitional occurrence, was my parents got divorced and my family completely fell apart. The blind thing doesn't mean anything compared to that. I mean, it's small potatoes. Like, my parents can't see, but we were fine. You know, that wasn't like, I mean, I'm not saying that didn't have obstacles. It did, of course it did. But what happened with my family was everybody went their own ways, you know. When they split up, you know, I lost a relationship with my brother, really. My dad and I didn't talk for years. And, you know, that's the heavy stuff. That's the stuff that made me who I am, and I didn't learn from. And if I had learned from it, you know, I would have made different choices, I think. And that's my fault. That's not my parents' fault. I don't blame anybody. I might have been a psychologist, but I don't blame my parents for everything. But I didn't learn from it. And that's why I don't think I was able to move on, and that I made the same mistakes that my folks did. I guess I learned whenever everything came out, whenever she found out about the affair, and that was the worst day of my life. That's when I realized that I was, you know, I was living the same life that, you know, maybe that my dad lived, and I didn't understand what commitment was, and that's when I learned. That's when I saw it. You know, I stared my demons face to face, and I realized that I was with them, and I wasn't fighting them at all. You know, there's a blessing in that, though. There really was, because I truly believe that if I hadn't made the mistakes that I did, that I would have at some point made the same mistakes, you know. It was my fault. It was all my fault. But if I hadn't made the mistakes, I don't think I ever would have understood the importance of relationships and taking those things seriously, you know. I got so hung up into the shame and the guilt of it all, and I actually kind of got addicted to that, I think. But you know, I made the choice that it would be better to purge the ideas, to get the thoughts out, get the emotions out, in order for me to be able to heal and move on from it. We're in Münster, Deutschland, Münster, Germany, and we showed up. We knew we were playing in a church, and we showed up, and it's one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen in my entire life. It's incredible. And I think this is the first show they've ever had, first like rock show. Not a good moniker for us, but it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful, beautiful building. Kind of humbling to play in a place like this. I feel like the one major similarity with people that are coming to my show is that they have a great longing that they've accepted, to understand the sadness that's in their life, and they want to understand it and they want to move on, you know, from it. That's the best thing I can understand. That's what people tell me, and that's what people write to me. I hate to be corny about it, but I think it's a very unifying element. And you know, in therapy we call it universality. It's the idea that I am not alone when I understand that the person next to me has gone through a very similar experience. I guess part of the reason why I sing about the things I do is because I want to remind people that it's curative to acknowledge brokenness. It's curative to accept that we're not maybe to the point that we could be, or that we should be, or that we want to be. The courageous thing is not to beat yourself up. The courageous thing is to actually to forgive yourself and to ask forgiveness from other people. That's brave. And I was a coward. And I didn't have the tenacity or the vigor or the courage to say I was wrong. I'm grateful to be in a healthier place. I've never been where I'm at before because everything that I've written up to this point has been extremely pointed and purposeful and situational. You know, I'm happily without a tragedy to have to detail or to process, but as a writer, that's also that can also actually be problematic. You know, honestly, my personal theory on why that we have trouble in this generation is it's divorce. It's the fact that we've started to take love less seriously than our parents did, and our grandparents did, and our great-grandparents did, and that we've moved into a place where we're okay with throwing away relationships if they're not exactly what we want. And I'm guilty of that. There's never a shortage of things to talk about that need to be discussed. You know, the scary part is actually being able to write a song that has a smile on the end of it. But yeah, so it's, you know, it's a mix. It's exciting, but just in general with my life, it's just scary. It's just more unknown. It feels more out of control.